Hey guys, Get Level here, and today I'm gonna show you how I made this thing right here.
Oh my god!
Okay, so here's the story of how it all started. If you guys follow me on Twitter, you've probably seen the thread. I made a whole thread with step-by-step tweets on how I went about making it happen. But basically, I saw the Nanoleafs. The Nanoleafs? Is that what I should call them? Nanoleaf is this company that makes those pretty cool looking lights. They're like triangle-ish shape and you can stack them and all that. And I was like, wow, everyone seems to have them. I'm a huge fan of LEDs and RGB. Let me just go get some. Oh my God. And then I saw the price. I was like, yeah, there's no way I'm gonna pay that price for decoration lights, essentially. I'm not talking down the Nanoleafs. They're actually awesome, but I wanted to make my own, obviously, for cheap. So I went online. Obviously, I went on YouTube and I typed Nanoleaf DIY, and everyone and their mamas were making Nanoleafs DIY, except everyone was trying to make it as close as possible to the original Nanoleaf thing. So they wanted to make them stackable. They wanted to have 3 different LED hotspots. I did not want none of that. First of all, because it requires soldering. I hate soldering. I can solder, but it's my least favorite part of electronics. So I was like, I don't want to solder anything. I don't want to spend a huge amount of filaments if I'm 3D printing anything. I want it to be fast. I want it to be easy. And of course, I want it to be cheap. So it's like, here's the deal. I'm going to come up with a shape that I like, that is quite original, that doesn't look like the Nanoleaf because, you know, like I want to be original all the time. I'm going to pre-stack them and choose the shape that I want, which is the one that I ended up with. And then I'm gonna run my flexible LED strip throughout the whole thing, and then it's easy, no soldering at all. Now I know you heard me say 3D printing. I want you to know that you don't need a 3D printer to make this happen, okay? If you're watching this video thinking, oh, I want to make one, you don't need a 3D printer. You can make it using foam board, you can use cardboard, you can use wood, you can use any material that you can easily cut and glue together. You'll just need a ton of hot glue, which I also ended up using even though I have a 3D printer. So when I saw all the shapes online for the DIY ones, they were all using a ton of filament. They were like making it, you know, very sturdy and everything. I don't need that. I just want my stuff to be cheap, to be printed fast and not cost me money. And I don't want to use a whole roll of filament. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to create my own shape. So I went into Tinkercad, which is a free web browser modeling software, I guess. It's definitely not the best on the market, but it's free and it works in your browser. So I started with a square shape and I was thinking I'm just gonna tilt the square and we're gonna have this shape. I took out the corners to have a little more complex shape, and from there I decided on the final shape that I wanted to have. So how many boxes am I gonna stack to have that? So we ended up with 6 boxes. In order to save up on filament, I had holes through it so it would use the minimum amount of filament possible. Now those holes are beneficial because those are the same holes I'm going to be driving my LED strip through. So the final shape would look like that, and this is how the LED strip would go throughout the whole thing. Now the thing is, this was kind of like trial and error. I did not want to invest anything. I already had filament. I already have my 3D printer. I already have a bunch of LED strips. The thing is, I do not have addressable LED strips. Basically, I cannot code something for each boxes to light up individually. So I would have to go with a long LED strip that would color the whole shape, the whole final shape all together, but it was still fine. Now those cheap LED strips, they come with like a adhesive back. I didn't want to have to assemble the whole thing and then have one part of my LED strip just dangling in the middle of it. So I added little, how can I put this? I added little poles basically. So the LED strip will do a little bit of zigzagging, but it would be held in place without any gluing whatsoever. So if you're using LED strips that don't have an adhesive back, they will still be in place. Now I was satisfied with my shape and it was time to print. The thing is, as I said, I wanted for it to go fast and not use a lot of filament. So the settings I had on my 3D printer at first were way too fast to do bridging. So the top part of my shape was pretty much impossible to print clean. I think I still have it there. So I ended up with a failed print. Well, you can't really see it, but the top part, I had filament dangling down and it didn't work out. I was kind of sad because I had failed the print, but then I realized if I separated the top part from the whole thing, I could not only use the separate frame to put my diffusion paper, because I was gonna go with, well, because I went with paper, normal paper, to diffuse the light. But on top of that, assembling the whole LED strip was so easy because I could just do it from the top. I didn't have to like push the LED through each shape. I could just put it flat like that and then have the LED go through the whole thing. And this was great. I'm happy that my 3D printer messed up the bridging on that. Okay, so once I had the new shape, I did a test run with some LEDs, and it was so easy. It was so easy to put the LEDs in. I was surprised on how easy it was. Then I did a test with the diffusion with the first frame I had. Now I realized that because of the little plastic parts that I have keeping the LEDs in place, they were casting shadows. So I had some weird shapes. I could have left it like that, but I really wasn't satisfied. Also, my white 3D filament, plastic filament was quite transparent, so the light was shining through, and I also did not really want that, at least not that visible. So what I did is go back to Tinkercad and modify the frame size so the frame borders were thicker, but also the thickness was thicker. So in both axes, I had to make it thick. Now on the plane, the fact that the whole frame was thicker, the border was thicker, made it so that it was covering the shadowy part. Basically the weird shape I was getting because of the shadows, it covered that, so we would only get the diffusion in the middle. So it was perfect. I was feeding two birds with one scone. So in the meantime, I decided to try to calculate how much money I'm actually using when it comes to filament, because I was 3D printing, so I was using filament, and I wanted to know how much would the project actually cost me. I already had the LEDs, I already had the 3D printer, and that's when I realized the whole thing was about 4 euros compared to the amount of the price of the filament that I buy, which is cheap PLA. Every single part was a couple of cents, which is amazing, especially if you compare it to the actual Nanoleaf price. Then I tested the new frame and I was quite satisfied with the results. The only thing that was kind of annoying is the print time. The fact that the frame was thicker made it print in about 40 to an hour, and then the base was also an hour. So every single box was 2 hours of printing. To go back to what I said in the beginning, if you were using cardboard or foam board, you would probably take less time than that to create the different shapes. So if you're using cardboard or foam board, you would actually take less time than I did to create my project, even though I have a 3D printer. Now that I was satisfied with everything, all I did was, well, print it all back to back. It took me, it took me in total, it should have taken me about 13 hours or 11 hours. Because I did some modification to print the frames faster. So now that I had all the parts, it was time for assembly. So I put them on the floor and I assembled them. It was the first time seeing the real length of the whole thing. It's quite big. It's quite big. It's about 90 centimeters. Now I did run into some issue because of the LED that I actually wanted to use was those very thin, non-waterproof LED strips with each single LED being RGB LEDs, so the colors would be really like uniform, but I had some problem because I already had it in a ring light and I took it off and blah blah blah. So I had to use another LED stripe. This one was waterproof. It was like €1, €2 more expensive. Those LED strips come for like 12 euros in total if you want to buy one for like 5 meters. So I would say that's the part that took me the most time because I had put in the whole first LED. I already assembled the whole thing before testing it because I'm a dum-dum. Once I realized the first strip wasn't gonna work, I had to put the other one. Now, the problem and the weird thing about the other one is that each color was separated by at least 1 centimeter. So you would have one LED that's red, and then further one that's blue, and then further one that's green. This is why when it's projecting white, you can actually see each and every different color. But in the middle, the fused together, it's white. It's not a bad effect, but I didn't think of that at all. It was my first time testing this strip. So I replaced it and everything was perfect. Then I realized, well, there's a little thing hanging out because I had to plug it in. So I designed that real quick in Tinkercad. It's basically like a frame very similar to the actual LED frames with a lot of space, and then there is a cover. The whole thing is pretty small. I believe it's like 1 centimeter tall. So it was kind of flimsy and I was kind of scared. So I went in the back and I added a bunch of zip ties to tie everything together. Otherwise, I also added hot glue. So the frames are glued to the whole thing with hot glue. But once it was done and it was completely assembled, the whole thing is very, very light. And then boom, just like that, I had my very own shape box light diffusion thingy. The cool thing with those cheap LEDs is that there are many small controllers that you can plug them to. So if I wanted this to work on Wi-Fi and be able to control it with my phone, I could. If I want to program my own animations, there's a lot of very, very cheap modules that you can basically add to them. And as I explained on my previous video, I could hook them up to react to my Twitch chat or my Twitch alerts by using a relay that would just turn them on or off. They are also remote controlled. Well, this is not the remote. This is a smaller remote, but like, okay, so that's the actual remote. As you can see, there's a whole lot of options when it comes to the colors, but also when it comes to the effects, because obviously we want some sort of effect to go through it. So we have jump 3, which is just jumping between 3 colors. I also have control over the speed, so I'm gonna make it go faster. I can actually make it go crazy fast. So I have jump 3, I have jump 7. So jump 3 was jumping between R, G, and B, basically red, green, and blue. And then jump 7 will add a couple of combinations. I believe like orange, yellow, purple, and all that. Now the same thing, but it's fading between the colors. So fade 3, blue, green, red. Fade 7 with more colors. And then there's flash, which is basically a strobe. It's just gonna turn it on and off on white. And then of course, individually, you have all the colors that you want. If you just want to put it red, or just want to put it blue or green or white. See what I was saying? The fact that when it's white, you can see the individual LEDs go red, green, and blue, but in the middle, it's all white, which is pretty cool. This is the LED strip I was stuck with, so I'm just rolling with it, and it's pretty fine. So the total cost for me for this project, when it comes to how much money that I spent personally, is zero, because obviously I already had the filament, I already had the LED strip. Now, when it comes to how much money did I burn through filament, it was about 5 euros. How much money did I spend when it comes to the LED strip, for example? Something like 8 euros. Well, 12 euros if you're counting the adapter that comes with it. So in total, this whole project was less than 20 euros for me. Probably less than $20. Now, if I did want to have the addressable LED lights, for example, to have each box individually change color, I could do that. I would just need an LED strip that has addressable LEDs, and those cost around 40 euros for 5 meters, because I think it's 4.5 meters that I had to use for this. So it would still be less than the Nanoleaf, right? Now, with that being said, my 3D printer is an ANET A8 that cost me 130 euros. So if you take the price of what I paid to make this project and you add the 3D printer to it, it's still less expensive than the Nanoleaf. Anyways, I don't know what kind of point I'm trying to make. I'm very proud of it. It looks good. It's been a while since I wanted to make this project. And if you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. If you guys would want to know how to do it with cardboard or foam board, join my Discord. We can talk about it. Other than that, social media will be up there. You can follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/GuyLevel. Sometimes I do those projects live, which is pretty interesting. If you're looking for overlays for your Twitch stream, go to gumroad.com/GuyLevel. We have a bunch of them, mostly free, and then the rest is like super cheap. If you just started streaming, or if you haven't started streaming yet, you can download Streamlabs OBS for free. And if you download it from my link, you will get Streamlabs OBS. I will get a little bit of money and Charity will get a little bit of money. So please consider it. But that's it for today. What kind of other light project would you like to see me do in the future? Please leave them in the comment section below. But for now, go out there and make me proud. I will see you guys later. Thank you so much for watching. Get Level out!